yesterday evening, I was faced with an unexpected situation that allowed me to put this idea of presence into practice. So what arose was a dispute around ownership of a plot of land that is within the property that we live on. And relatively speaking, it was a calm situation. Everyone involved stayed calm, and there was no aggressive or angry behavior. So that made the situation more straightforward to deal with. But nonetheless, it was a test for me, because I had to navigate this the situation in which these people who I'd just met and actually created a very positive rapport with before it transpired that there was this conflict. I had to navigate this situation where they were saying that they actually originally owned a piece of the land that we live on. And what I noticed, because this isn't the first time that something like this has happened since we moved to Portugal. Unfortunately, land ownership is not a straightforward affair in this country, or traditionally it hasn't. It's been complicated. And so I can compare my response this time to previous situations that have arisen in a similar vein. And what I noticed this time was that I was able to stay centered and calm in myself during the whole interaction, and I was able to listen without, my own protective mechanisms kicking in of this kind of, territorial stance that I could have taken either internally or externally. But I was able to hear what they were saying and have empathy for their situation, because actually they had had land effectively stolen from them some years ago, and it was then sold on, having been dishonestly declared in the name of someone else. And so I had empathy for their situation, and I also somehow needed to state my position as it stands, which has also been a difficult thing for me over the years, like in situations of confrontation, stating my position and not just backing down. Out of fear and fear of the confrontation itself. But as the time went on and we were navigating this situation and trying to come to a accurate understanding of it, I could feel, this adrenaline in my chest. It wasn't strong, it wasn't overpowering, but it's a familiar stress response that I know and I've experienced to much greater intensity in situations in the past. And had they responded angrily to this situation, I imagine that the stress response in me would naturally have been greater. But I was just able to observe the physical sensations without allowing them to cloud my mental space and mental perception at the time. So that all felt positive. Since, I arrived home after that situation and needed to talk it through with my partner, and I went to bed, still with a lot of thoughts cycling through my head of how to communicate the next steps and how to cope with this situation in a positive way, how to resolve it. And trying to fall asleep last night, my mind was kind of rehearsing, what is it I'm going to say to them. And then again this morning I woke up and it was in my head, and sitting in meditation I was watching these thoughts play out. And at times when I really shone my awareness onto the thoughts, then they would quiet down. But as soon as my awareness was taken elsewhere, the thoughts would continue to circulate. But throughout all of this internal dialogue or monologue, I've noticed that I can maintain a sense of distance, that I'm not wrapped up and I'm not trapped inside those thoughts, but I'm watching them from a step back, and knowing that although there's again this turbulence on the surface, or these kind of ripples of activity, there is this steady presence beneath that is unchanging and remains in a state of equanimity. And I can return to that at any moment that my more superficial equanimity is lost. So it's been a little test run for putting presence into practice.